Hello, Tubies! How are you all doing? I hope you're doing fantastically fabulous. And I hope that we can all hear me fine and all of that fun stuff. I just got back. Let me adjust this light for a second. Make it a little brighter. Anyways, I just got back from camping. Oh, God. I was only gone for 3 days, but trust me, like with this whole certain thing happening in the world right now, they didn't have like working showers or flush toilets. So like you have to crap outside. Well, not literally outside. They've got vault toilets. Have you ever used a vault toilet? Gross. Anyways, it was fun. I got to go camping. I'm so happy. And now I'm back to the real world. And the real world doesn't have marijuana in it. So I thought that I would have these crazy withdrawal symptoms of like quitting marijuana, but I have been fine. Minus the loss of appetite. But aside from that, I have been fine. And if you look up like marijuana withdrawal symptoms, you're going to find all kinds of symptoms that you can go through, from like nausea to headaches to craving the drug to can't sleep to depression, mood swings. And I got those last time, but this time I didn't. So I also want to make a service announcement to y'all. I am canceling my Adobe subscription for editing videos. So we're going to do live videos for a little while until I get a job, because I'm still very, very jobless, as are a lot of you people. So we can all be jobless together. Now, the other announcement that I need to make is a very serious one. Okay. Because most of you who watch me are in America, and I'm about to lose a bunch of subscribers for this, but that's okay. If you don't wear a mask out in public or at grocery stores or the bank or the library or wherever it is that you go, get off my channel, okay? Don't subscribe. Unsubscribe. Unsubscribe from me. If you don't wear a mask, don't like masks, politicize masks, anti-vaxxer, don't believe in vaccines, refuse to get the coronavirus vaccine, or just anything in that general area, just, off my channel now. Bye-bye. This isn't if you don't like my incense, get off my channel. This is like, if you don't, this isn't something that ends with you. Okay. There's a lot of influencers, and I kind of consider myself a micro influencer. So I'm using my platform to tell you to not be stupid, and to wear a mask, and to use hand sanitizer, and to practice social distancing, and don't be stupid and going to parties or going to the beach. I mean, like, a campground is fine because y'all can social distance from each other, right? But you don't need to be gathering in large groups. And I can't support people like that. I'm just like, you are Darwinism, except you're not Darwinism, because you're affecting everybody. Right? You're affecting everybody. You might think, oh, it can't happen to me, but then you get sick, and then you unknowingly spread it, and then some 80-year-old grandmother who goes to the grocery store who wants to buy cookie dough to make cookies for her grandson ends up catching it and dying it, and dying from it, and then they never get to make cookies. Is that what you want? You want some 80-year-old fucking grandmother to die from this virus because you're too fucking stupid to wear a fucking mask? Is that what you want, you fucking piece of trash? Anyways, Australia, yay! Okay, so you know how this all works now that I'm done my ranting and raving, and we're not going to make this like an hour-long video because I am very tired and very exhausted. So we're going to go through some hilarious Facebook group posts, because that's what I like to do in these live chats, because you guys don't seem to care what I talk about in these live chats. So we're going to do that. And if you don't want to watch, then go away. So the first one we're going to start with is my favorite one. Can spirits have sex with you in your sleep? Isn't that what a succubus is? Isn't that like how a lot of us communicate with our spirits? Not through sex, but through sleep. Like, we dream about the Morrigan, or we dream about Boone, or we dream about Dantalion, or we dream about whatever entity or spirit it is that we work with. And some people developed sexual relationships with these types of spirits and entities, and that's perfectly fine. So can a spirit sleep or have sex with you when you're asleep? Absolutely. I don't think spirits, though, I think a lot of them will be like, you have to invite me. But then if you're working with, say, like a succubus and you're cursing somebody or whatever, then basically, I don't know if spirits follow the consent guidelines. Let's just put it that way. How can I get someone to leave my home voluntarily? Okay, this sounds interesting, but trust me, it gets way more hilarious. My cousin took over my house and I want him out. Okay. He's not on my lease, but won't leave. Okay, so you have a lease. Any suggestions what to do? I'm stressed to the max. I'm paying a house, then I don't feel like home. There's like 36 comments. I'm not reading all of them, but one of the funniest ones is a brick to the face. Some other people are like hotfoot powder, police, hotfoot. We don't know the context of why you'd want your cousin to leave the house. So based off of that understanding alone, I would probably go with a hotfoot powder, or I don't know. If he's not on your lease and you don't own the home, then you could technically call the landlord and be like, he's living here unlawfully. Right? I mean, it's basics. Not everything requires magic. Maybe try talking to him. Maybe try figuring out why is he living in your house? Is it like, and the other question is do you really need to be evicting your cousin during these very political, at least in America, and stressful times? Like, this isn't a time for you to be giving up on family and pushing them out. I mean, I understand that family can always get on our nerves and we just want our own space and we want them to go home so that we can have our own space. I get that and I appreciate that, but like, is that really what you want to do during these very trying, difficult times? Again, there's no context as to why she wants this person out. So who knows, right? Okay, this is a fun one. It's a little bit of a longer post, but don't worry. It's a hilarious post. I know I'm going to get flamed for this. Do people still have flame wars? Do they even call it flame wars? Like, don't they call people who like attack other people trolls now? Like, do we have flame wars? Is this the 80s / 90s / really early 2000s? But perhaps someone who isn't triggered can articulate what I cannot seem to formulate here. Now, I love this post because it has said almost everything that I have said. I sense disconnect or willful ignorance within genuine seekers who seem to misinterpret the work of archetypal psychologists and thinkers like James Hillman and Carl Jung. They quote Hillman and Jung as confirmation of the continuity of the perennial philosophy as found in Gnosticism, Egyptian, and Greek mysteries, Hindu ideas like Kundalini and the Bible, etc., by taking it to mean a kind of relativism in which any one beliefs can be true if you are enlightened. In other words, if you are spiritual, you are knowing with heart and therefore thinking with reason is unnecessary or even counterproductive. Are these things really so separate? We'll get into the other post in a second, or the other part of this post, but let me tell you this. Basically, the first half of that paragraph really comes off, in my interpretation, in my opinion of that particular post, the first half of it, that it's stupid, new agey, Wicca bullshit where people, and I'm not talking like real Wicca, I'm talking modern day bullshit, okay? Like not the I wouldn't even consider Scott Cunningham to be modern day Wicca. Like, I really wouldn't. Like, I'm not talking like Gerald Gardner Wicca and like Alexandria Wicca and stuff like that, like real Wicca. I'm talking about modern day bullshit where like 16-year-old girls in goth makeup are wearing pentagrams and be like, I'm a Wiccan. Like, you're not. You're an attention-seeking little hoe. Let's put it that way. Let's be real here, right? So all of this modern day bullshit takes things like Gnosticism, Egyptian and Greek mysteries, Hindu ideas like Kundalini and the Bible and so on and so forth, and like these hermetic and philosophy types of concepts, and they boil it right down. I've said this so many times in videos. They boil it right down to its most simplest form so that they can sell it and make money off of it, and then stupid people believe in it, and they believe that, oh, I'm so enlightened and I'm knowing with a heart, and then they don't literally think about things logically. They just follow their heart because I'm a free spirit and I believe and I'm spiritual. No, what you are is a piece of trash. Let's just put it that way. Okay, let's just put it that way. Let's just be real with you. Right? Like, it's fine if you want to be a hippy dippy and you want to be like a new agey, like crystal loving, Reiki practicing person. I ain't got nothing against that. But when you take occult concepts and like philosophies and other traditions and religions and so on and so forth, and you westernize them or you whitewash them, as we like to do, because most of the misinformation spread around witchcraft specifically is spread by white people. Like, it's just bullshit. It's racist. It's really, that's what it is. I mean, you're taking Egyptian, you're taking Greek, you're taking Hindu, and you're taking other things, other philosophies and understandings that weren't necessarily created by white people, and you are whitewashing them and making them stupid and simple so that you can sell them and make money. And then you've got these spiritual people running around being like, I'm a spiritual person and I love everybody, and because I'm spiritual, I'm just so spiritual. And it's like, I fucking hate you. That's how I feel. So let's get to the second part of this. The disconnect is some form of all this stuff is literally the same. It's exactly what is happening. So Moses's brazen serpent on the staff equals the caduceus equals hermeticism equals Kundalini equals my chakras. That is what has happened today. Every piece of occultism somehow magically links to its to another piece in some very simplistic, easy to understand, easy to digest kind of way. So people are like, okay, well, this and this, they kind of make sense, so we're going to link them together, and this is the same as this, and it's like, oh my God, like, Christ. Some folks will become defensive and assume one is ignorant and unenlightened. Their response to informed argument, if they don't immediately turn nasty and hominin, end up somewhere around, please educate yourself. Do you know how many times I've walked into those like witchy shops that you might have in your town or whatever, like the really overpriced new agey witchy shops where there's crystals and then like lots of incense and a few herbs, like maybe some dragon's blood or frankincense, but like tiny amounts for like atrocious amounts of money, right? Those people like to preach this type of crap, and then when you try to argue against them, they're like, please educate yourself. Or I've actually had this one said to me, it is clear you do not understand. You mean it's clear that I don't understand your bullshit attempt at mixing all of these philosophies and boiling them down into their simplest form possible? Like, is that what's not clear? And I just don't understand. And because you want to monetize it and you want to make money off of it and you want to spread this around without actually giving the people the full amount of information because you're so enlightened and you're so spiritual. Bullshit. I've taken to ignore these posts, but I find that they are legion on all the boards dedicated to archetypal philosophy and esotericism. It is not that I don't understand or I'm not a spiritual person. Believe me, I don't see some people I don't see why some people think spiritual insight and educated reason are incompatible. A lot of people, not all of the people, but a lot of people who are spiritual and into this new agey bullshit, any kind of argument you give them against their against something that they say or do that doesn't make sense, right? Because we're all on different paths, and we're all entitled and allowed to challenge and question what we see and come up with our own opinions and ideas and express those opinions and ideas. I mean, it all goes about how you do it, because you know me, I'm a drama queen, so I'm all like, fuck you and your mother. So, right? And it's just like, you get these really spiritual people who think they know what they're talking about, and they will talk in circles, but at the end of the day, they actually know nothing. Does anyone have any insight on what is going on here, or am I the only one bothered by this and should just keep scrolling by and let the out of context misinformation proliferate? So first of all, never, ever, this is my opinion. Maybe it's not your opinion. Maybe you won't do this, but in my opinion, this is what I would do. Never would I let this kind of crap fly, because it spreads misinformation, and it is out of context, right? So people go around, they talk about karma. You know what? Let's look up karma, because you people, oh my fucking God, not my viewers, hopefully, but a lot of witches on social media, they throw around this concept of karma, and it's like, no, that is not right. Now I'm trying to find the karma, like a definition type of thing. So they say in Hinduism and Buddhism, the sum of a person's actions in this and previous states of existence viewed as deciding their fate in future existences. Okay, so let's think about that. It means action, work, or deed. It also refers to spiritual principles that cause and effect, where intent and actions of an individual can cause and influence the future of an individual effect. Now, the thing that we tend to screw up is the understanding of what karma is. It's not that if I slap you in the face and get away with it, a week later someone's going to slap me in the face and, oh, that's karma. We like to do that a lot, right? You see some bitch cut you off, and then you're pulling up the street further, and she's pulled over by a cop, same car, and you're like, ooh, that's karma. That's not karma. That's cause and effect, but that's not karma as we should know it. Okay, it's been bastardized. It's one of those concepts that's been horribly, horribly bastardized. It has come to mean that something will happen to you in the near future if you do something bad. And because we have that in our brains, right, we think that if I hurt you, it's going to come back to me. And depending on how you hurt the person, I mean, legally it might come back to you, but if you're just being a dick, right? I mean, people will be a dick back to you. That's not karma. That's cause and effect. Karma is about the things that you've done in your past life, the things that you do in your current life. They affect your next life. So I really appreciate it if people would really stop fucking with the concept of karma. Now, that is a very bastardized and very simple, boiled down concept. I wouldn't say it's bastardized, but it is simple and it is very boiled down. And I know I said I hate when people do that, but I am not going to go through every single piece of information for you to explain to you what karma is and what karma isn't. Okay, so what y'all can do is Google it yourselves, but realize that the karma that you're using today in the context that you're using it is fucking wrong. And I really wish people, especially witches, would stop using it in that way. Like, it annoys me. The next post is thoughts on the biblical Nephilim. It doesn't exist. Somebody said Andre the Giant. No, he had acromegaly. Try again. When God told Moses this person used the actual spelling of God's name. Moses, he was going to kill the Egyptian children. I think he was referring to the giants, not babies. Archaeologists are digging up giants all over the place. They are not digging up giants all over the place. Oh my God. Nephilims don't exist. Now, the Bible, there's a lot of books in the Bible, and you can actually YouTube this. So what I want you guys to do, if you're interested and you want to learn about this, is YouTube, like type into the search, banned books from the Bible. There's like an hour and a half long documentary on the different types of books that were banned from the Bible and the different reasons. Like the Book of Enoch was banned from the Bible because they thought it was too fantastical, talking about Jesus, or not Jesus, talking about giants and stuff like that. And also there's the 6th and 7th book of Moses that were banned from the Bible. There were a lot of Gnosticism stuff was banned from the Bible, so on and so forth. And it's mostly because a lot of it was very fantastical and just maybe a little bit stretched, or it was too long. Like there's a bunch of, There's like a bunch of letters that were excluded, that were written by the apostles that were excluded from the Bible, right? So, I don't want to say the biblical Nephilim wasn't real because, it's mentioned in the Bible, but at the same time, I feel like it's a metaphor for something else because a lot of the Bible is a metaphor. It's stories, and they're metaphors, and people try and relate them to their own lives in order to get meaning out of them and to discern, kind of like how we do. We read the tarot cards and we try to get meaning out of the tarot cards. They communicate, like Christians and so on and so forth, communicate with God in order to get messages. We communicate with our deities and our entities. We're not so sanctimonious about it sometimes, but then again, you get your typical Wiccans who are the most sanctimonious pieces of crap you've ever met. Right? Where can I find occult knowledge about Hermes Trismegistus? Which website or books do you recommend to know more about him? Ooh, let's see what people are actually recommending. Because I've always wanted to learn about him. There's books on Hermes, and I think the Book of Thoth references him a couple of times. The Book of Thoth is really... Is it the Book of Thoth? Am I thinking of the right book? Let me Google this. Book of Thoth. Yeah, I was thinking about the right book. The Book of Thoth isn't that the Book of the Dead? Is a name given to ancient Egyptian texts supposed to have been written by Thoth, the Egyptian god, writing of knowledge that include many texts that were claimed to exist in ancient authors. Magical book appears in Egyptian. Oh no, it's not the Book of the Dead. That's a whole other book. Is that a Tibetan book? Let's look that up. Let's make sure I'm right. Book of the Dead. I believe that's a Tibetan book. No! Oh my god, I'm retarded. It's an ancient Egyptian funeral text. Spells and rituals and so on and so forth. Christ, I'm retarded. But anyways, the Book of Thoth actually references Hermes, or is it? Yeah, Hermes a lot. There's also, I believe it is there's a book where you can learn about the Hermetic principles and so on and so forth. Not a lot of people have been. Yeah, the 7 Hermetic principles. Look Within, Kabbalion book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, in the Book of Abramelin the Mage. What makes you want to read, if I may ask? Been on a bender myself. Because I want to learn more. You got a problem with me learning more? But anyways, I suggest that everybody should at least read into Hermes, even if you just read into the 7 Hermetic principles. I mean, they are drier than dry. I mean, go and read your washing machine manual and then go and read the book of 7 Hermetic principles, and there's no difference. Like, they're both the most driest, boring books you will ever find, but the 7 Hermetic principles is actually full of really good information. Okay. How do you guys deal with discrimination of people of another faith religion? Because sometimes they really bug me, calling me crazy and whatnot. It's a lonely world when you don't live by any other practitioners. So I wouldn't really call that discrimination. I mean, isn't that stretching it a bit? Like, if I went up to, like, Lunar Wisdom and I'm like, oh, you practice witchcraft? You're kind of crazy. Would that be discrimination? Am I discriminating against her? I feel like there has to be more to discriminate against. Discrimination. Okay, let's figure this shit out together. The unjust or prejudicial treatment of different categories of people or things, especially on the grounds of race, age, or sex. Recognition and understanding of the difference between one thing and another. Discrimination between right and wrong. Victims of racial discrimination. So this person calling, but sometimes they really bug me, calling me crazy and whatnot. I don't know if that's really discrimination. Now, maybe they're getting, like, maybe there's meaner comments that the people have said or whatever to this lady, and maybe it is discrimination. I don't know. But calling somebody crazy isn't really discrimination. It can be bothersome, especially if this is something that you really believe in and the people around you don't believe in it and they think that you are crazy. Right? It can be very disheartening and very crazy, but I don't think it's discrimination unless they're actively going out of their way to stop you from doing what you want and like making you feel really, really bad. Maybe it is discrimination then. I don't know. There's a new comment section down below, so I want you all to comment there. Does anyone have a translation of, 1494? It's a study on the Goetia and some mentions of demons in mostly Italian and Latin, as well as some astrological musings. What? Oh, they found this book. Okay. But what is it called? Thasicius Rerum Geoman. Fuck if I know. Let's move on. I want to hear people's opinions if you have multiple spells and curses you want to do at the same issue or connected issue. Do you prefer to do them in a particular order? If so, what order do you tend to put them in? Do you think that this has any bearing on the outcome? I'm formulating my ideas on this and have experimented with a little with the idea, but I want to hear other people's thoughts. I fucking hate it when people in Facebook groups are like, curious, so following the post, or they're like, following. Like, I know you're curious, I know you want to follow the post, but just, if I click on the 3 dots, I can click save post. 3 dots, save post. Add this to your saved items. That way you don't need to waste the comment section with your bullshit following. Now, as for their actual question, if you have multiple spells and curses you want to do on the same issue or connected issues, so here's what I would do. Find common ground between the 2 issues. If they're connected, there's common ground. And then target that common ground because it will then ripple to both of those issues. Now, I never suggest doing spells back to back on the same issue. So what I will do is I will do a money spell. And if the flame is burning low, I'll do a booster or a candle reading. That's not doing spells back to back. What I mean is, you do a curse on Cindy Lou Who, and then tomorrow you turn around and you do another curse on Cindy Lou Who, and then you turn around the next day and you do a binding spell on Cindy Lou Who. Like, that's back to back. Let it play out. Let it build up that energy. I mean, if your spirits are telling you, okay, do this and then this spell and then this spell and then it will work, then you listen to your entities, right? Like, obviously listen to your entities, obviously listen to your spirits, obviously listen to those types of things. But generally what I would do is I wouldn't work the altar so much. Just do your 1 spell, see what the results are from that. If it hasn't affected both targets or whatever, then maybe do another spell. Always do divination to figure out what's going on at this particular moment in time. That's exactly what I would do. Hello, hi, how are you? Welcome, I love you. Can someone tell me a good use for peppermint oil and workings? I always have a lot since I use it for my hair. Money. Peppermint is great for money. It's also great for cleansing, not in the sense of like you're cleansing your tools, but more of like you're cleansing the energy that you're feeling. I like to use peppermint for cleansing, like if I'm feeling really down and I'm feeling really low and I just don't feel good, then I'll use peppermint to cleanse that kind of away and like uplift me, because peppermint is very it's kind of like drinking a Red Bull. It's got a lot of energy in it, and you can use that energy for all kinds of things. You can even use it in protection work, because all you have to picture, I mean, think about it. What does mint do when you plant it in your garden if you don't plant it in a container? We should all know this, right? It spreads. It spreads fast. It'll take over your whole yard. It'll take over your neighbor's yard. It'll take over the park across the street. I mean, I was watching this YouTube video about this guy who was showing how to like make your mint grow fuller or whatever. And he had said, oh yeah, if this wasn't in a container, this chocolate mint would spread. And he's like walking back to his place or whatever, and he points where there's chocolate mint growing, because apparently it did spread out of the container because of flowering and all of that fun stuff. And it spread out of the container and spread halfway across the yard. Okay, so like you gotta be really careful with this stuff, but you can use it in cursing, because where I was going with that is they have long runners and they've got long roots, and they shoot up a bunch of little babies essentially that grow into mint plants, and that can be used to basically be like, oh, you think you've got rid of this curse? Well, this curse just appeared over here, now it appeared over here, now it appeared over here. The other thing you can do with mint in cursing is, because the roots like to strangle other plants to fight for resources, is you can dig up the roots on a mint plant and wrap them around the neck or body of a poppet to strangle somebody, curse-wise. Now, you're not physically strangling them, and your strangling curse isn't going to make them choke, because that doesn't exist. And don't try and tell me it does, because it doesn't. Trust me. I'm a real witch, and if you think it does exist, you're a fake witch. It's as simple as that. Now, the oil, I'd be careful with the oil. I mean, you're using it in your hair, so you might not have any allergic reactions, but getting it on your skin could be another thing. You could dress candles with it. You could do, what else could you do with it? Protection around your house, but a few drops, in the corners or whatever. Can also put a drop of peppermint oil on a coal. Make sure you have herbs on top of it first, and put one drop, not multiple drops, just one. And that will also, help to bring that peppermint smell into your house. I love to burn peppermint, patchouli, and red sandalwood, as I said many, many times before, because it's just a very cleansing, relaxing, enjoyable smell. It's earthy, it's spicy because of the peppermint, and it's also just grounding sound. Let's see, go past that one. I love when people ask us, what books have to be PDF and free would you recommend for newbies of the occult? I love finding free online PDFs of books like grimoires, or sometimes there's you can find like witchy books. So the ones you might buy on Amazon, sometimes you can find them like as a free PDF. Very rarely. There's lots of the more deeper aspects of the occult, like high magic, ceremonial magic, the Solomon stuff like that. That's usually all free in PDF version. I mean, you can buy a book for like a few dollars to have a tangible copy, or you could just go find a free PDF of whatever grimoire you're looking for and print it out yourself. So I've done that. I want to know, does anyone else have random moments when you get a ball of energy in your hands? Like, you can feel it expanding. I've had that when I'm trying to do energy work, when I'm trying to manifest through using my own energy to manifest whatever it is that I'm trying to manifest. I will visualize, because Tequila actually had taught me this through one of her videos. So if you're having trouble manifesting your energy, what she said to do is to kind of like put your hands this way or something, and you visualize an energy, like a ball or a sphere or whatever, forming, and then you feel that, and you like kind of like move away, and it gets bigger and bigger, and then you can like put that into your spells and so on and so forth. That's why a lot of the times you guys will see me sitting there with my hands like this, because the energy is radiating out from my palms right? And I can feel it in my fingers. And it's even when the candle isn't lit and my hands are just really warm and hot, and it's like I can feel it working and I know it's working and it's going to manifest and everything's going to work out. So that's how I put energy into things. Anyone else who grew up in the South thinking, so basically what they call old wives' tales is basically hoodoo? We were just putting cayenne and salt in doorways, and I had no clue why. Just yes, ma'am. I can actually speak on that. If any of you live in the South, do you think that the old wives' tales is basically hoodoo? Like, what old wives' tales do you have in the South that is basically hoodoo? Like, I love to know about that. Is there anything else worth talking about? No, there isn't. So let's go say hello to my tubies. There's only 4 of you here. But now I'm bored. And I talked about everything that I wanted to. And I love you. I really do. And I want to keep this one short. I'll be back later this week. Trust.